Hello everybody, welcome back to our HTML and CSS tutorial. In the previous episode, we have discussed how to use variables in CSS, and in today's episode, we are going to learn how to use CSS Flexbox and Grid layouts. And this will be what we are going to be creating for today's episode. As you can see, it is just a basic header and a footer, just the usual. And in the middle right here, I have created these items from number 1 to 6, and they are in a format of a grid layout. And don't worry, I will explain much of what we did right here after we finish writing the code. So let's go back and start writing the code for today's episode. First of all, let's start by adding a header like this, and inside this header, let's just create a h1 tag like this, and let's just add the text header like this, and let's just come down right here and create our main tag like this, and inside this main tag let's create a div tag like this, and let's give a class to this div tag. And for the class of this div tag, let's just call the class grid, let's call it grid dash container like this. And let's just come down inside here and create another div tag like this, and let's give a class to this div tag also. And for the class of this one, for the class, let's go with something like grid items. I think grid items is okay. Grid dash items like this. Let's just items, or let's just leave it item like this, since this one is the only grid item. And now let's just copy what we did right here with Ctrl C, and let's come down and paste it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. And inside right here, let's just add a text of something like, let's just say item 1 like this, or let me just give a space right here, item 1. And let's come down inside here also and say item 2, and for this one also let's say item 3. Let's just copy it to make it fast with Ctrl C, and let's just paste it right here and here and here also. And let's just change this one to 4 and this one to 5, this one also to 6 like this. And let's just create only 6 items for now. And let's come down right here and create our footer. And for our footer, let's also just store a paragraph with the text footer inside it, footer like this. And let's just save it with Ctrl S and go back inside our browser and refresh. As you can see, the content we added has appeared. So let's now go back inside our CSS and style it. And don't worry, I know some of you might think I always add a header, then a main body and a footer. Basically, the reason why I do this is that mainly a page is divided into 3 parts. Inside a website, mostly a page is divided into 3 parts. The header is the first part, and then the main body, which contain all the content of the website, the main content of the website, and then the footer at the bottom. That's how a page is basically normally created inside a website. That's why I just prefer doing it this way, to make you get used to it before we get to the real business. And now let's go inside our CSS file right here. And even in this episode, since we have already learned how to use variables, I think I will just keep going on with the variables to also make you get used to it. So let's start with creating our variables root like this. And for this one, I think let's just also store colors, since we're going to be using colors. Let's go with pg-color to store our background color inside this variable. And for this one, I am going to use a blue color also, so let me just copy it with Ctrl C, and let's paste it right here like this. And let's just come down and create another variable, and this one let's just store our text color like this, text dash color. And since it is just our text color, let's just store a white color, FFF, like this, and let's close it with a semicolon. So I think these are the only variables I need for this one for now. And if you want, you can store many values inside your variables. I just think these are the only ones I need for now. So let me start styling my body tag like this. And for the body tag, let's start with the display. For the display of my body, since we are dealing with CSS Flexbox and Grid layout today, let me just go with a flex like this. And the next thing I need is my flex direction. And for the flex direction, let's just make it column like this. And then the minimum height to set the minimum height viewport. And for this one, let's just go with 100 view height like this. And the next thing is the margin like this. And for the margin, let's just remove it with a 0 like this. And the next thing we need to style is our header. And for our header, let's start to changing the background color. And for the background color, I've already created my variable with the color that I want. So let me just go with the beige color right here. And the next thing I need is my text color. And for the text color also, let me use the text color variable I've created. And the next thing is the padding. And for my padding, let me just go with something like 20 pixel like this. And we're done with our header. Let me just scroll a bit like this. And the next thing we need to style is our main. And for the main, what we're going to do is let's start styling it flex like this. For the flex, let's just go with 1, and it will just grow to fill the available space, just like that. And the next thing is our background color. And for our background color, I didn't create a variable for this one because it is just the only one I need for now. So let me just copy it right here with Ctrl C like this, and let me just paste it right here with Ctrl V like this. And the next thing we need for our main, I think, is a padding. Let's give it some padding also. And for the padding, let's also give it 20 pixel like this. And the next thing is the display. And for the display, since we're dealing with a grid layout, let's just go with a grid display like this for the body. Sorry, for the main like this. And the next thing is how to place our items. Place items right here. And for the place items, for now, let's just place them in the center like this. And the next thing we need, I think, is the height. Sorry, the height, like this height. And what we are going to do for our main height, I think let's just use this function calc, and let's just calculate the 100 view height we have already set. Sorry, 100 view height like this. And let's just minus maybe something like 120 pixel like this. I think it will be okay, because right here we have already set our minimum height to be 100 view height. So that is why I'm just going with 100 view height, and inside that 100 view height, let's just minus 120 pixel. And I think we are done with our main tag. So let's just scroll a bit like this. And the next thing is styling our grid container. Sorry, the class grid container we have created. Grid dash container like this. This grid container class we have created. And for our grid container class, let's make sure the display is also grid like this. And the next thing should be the grid template column. Grid template column like this. And for the grid template column, let's make it a repeat like this. This is also another function. It will just keep repeating it in this order. The order is, let's make it in 3, since we have already created, since what we have created is 6, so I want them to be aligning in 3 format. Let's make it 3 and 1 fractional unit like this, 1 fr like this, and it will just make it a 3 column with equal width. That's just what we did right here. And the next thing we need is the gap between our column. So let's just set the gap with gap like this, and for the gap let's just make it 20 pixel also. And I think we are done with our grid container. So let's just style our grid item. Sorry, dear class, grid dash item. The grid item we have created inside our main. So for our grid items, I think let's start with changing their background color also. And for their background color, let's use this one, the BG color we have created. And then let's change their text color. And for the color, let's just also go with the var, this one, the text color we have created. And the next thing we need is the padding. And for their padding, let's also give them 20 pixel like this. And let's just text align the text inside them to the center like this. Let's go with texts. So the text dash align like this, and let's make it center like this. And I think we are done with this one. So the next thing we need to style is just maybe our footer. Since we have already created a footer, let's make sure our footer is at the bottom with some styling also. So let's change the background color. For the background color of our footer, let's go with var, and let's just use a variable of BG color, this one. And the next thing for our footer is the text color inside our footer. And for the text color, let's also go with this one, the text color variable we have created, and let's give it some padding. And for the padding of our footer, let's make it 10 pixel, top and bottom, and left and right. Let's just make it 20 pixel like this, and we are done. Let's just save it with Ctrl S and go back inside our browser. Now if we were to refresh, as you can see, everything is in order, and this is our grid layout, the grid layout we have created. And right now what we did is that we make sure that our grid are in the center of our page. Right now, as you can see, they're in the center, and after that we make sure that they have the same width. As you can see, they are just covering almost, they're equal in size of height and everything. And let's assume for some reason we want to add more content of this one. All we need to do is just come back inside our code, maybe right here inside our HTML code, and let's just copy what we did right here with Ctrl C, for example, and let's come down and let's just say, let's paste it like this. And let's assume I'm not changing the numbers, since I'm just giving this as an example. Let's just save it with Ctrl S. And if we are to go back inside our browser and refresh, as you can see, they just align themselves perfectly without needing us to just go and keep arranging them differently like this. This is important of grid layout. And let's assume we don't want to use this tree format that it has. All we need to do is to come back inside this CSS, and instead of it to keep repeating in tree format like this, we can just make it to something like maybe 4 like this. And if you were to save it like this, go back inside our browser and refresh, as you can see, it is just adjusting accordingly and very responsively the way we want. This is one of the best benefits of using grid layout in CSS, and it's a very important habit, especially when you intend to create something like a gallery or maybe an imaging format of a good layout, just like that. It's a very handy way to go with responsive design in CSS. So this is how you use CSS Flexbox and Grid layout. As you can see, it is just very flexible. We can always change it to the way we want. And let's assume I don't want it to be maybe like 4 like this. I can just go back right here and change the repeat order to something like maybe 6 if I want. With Ctrl S, just save it and go back inside the browser. If you're just to refresh, everything will just keep on being very flexible and very responsive. This is just how flexible and very handy and very amazing it is to use CSS Flexbox and Grid layouts in designing a website. And this is it, how you use CSS Flexbox and Grid layout. And I think this will be the end of today's lesson. I hope you guys enjoy. See you in the next one.